There we go. Okay. So good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Deb Troca, the Executive Director of the Indiana Cooperative Development Center, and your host today for the first in a four-part webinar series called The Power of Cooperatives and Their Impact on Black Communities. Cooperatives are an engine of economic growth and empowerment, and they offer an opportunity for those who have been historically marginalized to tap into privilege often only reserved for those who have access to generational wealth. Cooperatives create opportunities for Black communities to grow and to thrive. And just a little bit about the future webinars. The next webinar is November the 9th, featuring Black Bottom Garden Center. November the 16th, featuring Spoons Consultancy. November the 17th, featuring Chai Fresh. But today we're here to talk about Stuffed Detroit Cafe. And Natasha Tallman, a member owner, is here to share her story and the journey of Stuffed so far. But just before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. Please mute your microphone at the end of Natasha's presentation. Feel free to go ahead and post questions to the chat. We will have an opportunity for Natasha to answer those questions at the end. And as you saw, we will be recording today's presentation. So without taking up any more of her time, please join me in welcoming Natasha Tallman.
Thank you so much, Deb. And before I begin, before I get started, let me begin by thanking you, Deb, for this wonderful opportunity to be featured in the Power of Cooperatives and Their Impact on Black Communities webinar series. Just a little housekeeping. I'm going to go ahead and turn my camera off, the video off here, just to ensure the continuity of my voice stream and the quality of the slides. So let me do that, and then I will get started. All right. So Stuffed Detroit LLC is a fresh food cafe co-op, right? Birthed out of the desire of 5 dynamic women of color with over 50 years of culinary and hospitality experience to create good, healthy, grab-and-go food options for people who like to shop and eat locally. Our co-op is made up of, again, as I mentioned, 5 women: Chanel Bias, Rashawn Long, Darion Reese, Tracy Ricks, and myself, Natasha Tallman. Each one of these women came from a background in food entrepreneurship. Most of them, Chanel, Rashawn, as well as Tracy, are all chefs already, and they run their own catering businesses. And so when it comes to finding strong partners to become worker owners with, I felt like I had an all-star team. But just to tell you guys a little bit about myself, I'm one of 5 Stuffed Detroit cooperative worker owners. As a collective, I am proud to bring over 20 years of experience in program management, fund development, organizational capacity building, marketing, human resource, and agriculture. I believe holistically that locally sourced nutritious food nourishes our mind, bodies, and spirits, which is why I feel so fortunate to team up with this group of 4 dynamic women who also love the idea of creating healthy on-the-go food for healthy on-the-go people. So our mission is to fuel a passion for great food, health, and well-being, to be the place where people gather to shop, eat, and work. And our goal is to change the way people eat and how they think about food consumption, both on how consumption impacts our personal health and that of the planet. And so we purposely use many organic, non-GMO, ethically produced and socially just ingredients, sourced from local and regional farms wherever possible. Our food is prepared fresh daily and made to order with loving attention to quality and presentation. As for our vision, we will work to support sustainable models of production, distribution, waste, and recycling, wherever possible, to minimize our environmental footprint and create a positive ripple in our community. We also work with local artists featuring a new display of visual artworks. And again, vision means in the future. We don't have our brick and mortar yet, but once we are in our brick and mortar space, we do intend to have local artists. I just want to clarify that, and feature a new display of visual artwork every month, weekly live music, open mic poetry sets, of course, free Wi-Fi, and open green outdoor spaces for gathering. And we'll also feature a small retail area with shelf-stable specialty food items, original handcrafted gifts, and holistic body care products. You may be wondering, how did we get started? Well, I work for North End Christian CDC, a nonprofit organization in the historic North End area of the city of Detroit. And North End Christian CDC owns Oakland Avenue Urban Farm, which is about a 7-acre campus with 4.5 acres of production land specifically. The Detroit Community Wealth Fund, which is a cooperative incubation group who empowers historically marginalized Detroiters, blending education and programming about cooperatives with non-extractive loans to support democratic and community-based business in Detroit, reached out to us due to our efforts to reactivate the Oakland Avenue corridor with commercial business. They asked us if we would be interested in partnering with them to form the North End Co-op Academy, which was a 15-week cooperative training program. We did the recruitment, they provided the educational track, and we both co-facilitated the lesson plan for 30 self-motivated individuals with entrepreneurial spirits who were also interested in owning and operating a cooperative business in the historic North End. Now, I saw this as an opportunity that I did not want to miss, as I have always wanted to own and operate a business that will become part of the financial legacy that I would leave for my daughter. So not only did I facilitate the program, but I participated as well. The reason that the co-op model was more relevant to me than starting a sole proprietorship or LLC is due to the fact that Detroit, Michigan is predominantly is a predominantly African-American city that once boasted a strong Black economy where Black-owned businesses thrived. However, you would be hard-pressed to see that reality today. Economic disparity often places those individuals with entrepreneurial spirits at a disadvantage. Many of us simply lack the financial capacity to start and or maintain a for-profit business. And ultimately, cooperatives offer an opportunity for those who have been historically marginalized to tap into a privilege that is often only reserved for those who have access to generational wealth. By pooling dollars and resources in a cooperatively owned business, cooperatives provide a safety net where democracy and ownership are intrinsic. They are an opportunity for Black-owned businesses to thrive once again in the city of Detroit. Now, the North End Co-op Academy was invaluable in that we were able to bring together several entrepreneurial-minded individuals to form 3 essential businesses to build out the Oakland Avenue commercial corridor. One of those businesses being mine, Stuff Detroit. Now, participating in the Academy was truly rewarding and empowering. From the beginning of the application process, I felt a sense of ownership exemplified by the amount of decision-making power we were bestowed. Every decision came from the collective as we narrowed down the types of cooperative businesses we would start, how we would govern those businesses, and ultimately how we project our future success. And even in the face of the uncertainty of the pandemic and regulations around social gatherings, Margot and Rosie were resilient and innovative in ensuring that the training and co-creation process would continue on virtually, which ultimately ensured that we would all reach this very day. Okay. I'm sorry, someone needs to mute their, oh, excuse me. Let's go back here. So the best part is that although the Academy has come to an end, it is not the end of the supportive relationship that the Detroit Community Wealth Fund and the Detroit Justice Center have committed to ensuring that we have the financial and technical support needed to grow our cooperative businesses. And that's just been paramount for us. So you may be wondering, well, what do we serve, right? So I want to say, go back to this story. Stuffed Detroit was birthed out of this idea of offering sweet and savory stuffed food options, right? It came from this idea of creating a plethora of stuffed waffles. And from there, we moved into the idea of why not just create all stuffed foods? It would create our own special niche. It would make us different and stand out in the city of Detroit amongst all the different other restaurants that are available. And so on our menu, you'll find things like stuffed monkey bread and stuffed onion rings, stuffed French fries, and of course our stuffed waffles, po' boys. We do have lots of vegan options, and we offer everything from salads, desserts, beverages, as well as appetizers. So I can talk to you guys a little bit about our timeline here. So Stuffed Detroit Cooperative Fresh Food Cafe is a phased project. We did our soft launch as a virtual pre-order cafe where we took on catering orders only in June of 2021. We also had an idea of by April, I'm sorry guys, I'm getting nervous here. Stumble over my words when I get nervous. So in June of 2021, we officially graduated from the Co-op Academy in April of 2021. In June of 2021, we did our soft launch, which I did mention already, where we have been accepting catering orders, pre-orders via online orders or word of mouth. By April of 2022, our goal is to have a brick and mortar space, which is called The Landing. It is a building that is already owned by Oakland Avenue Urban Farm that is actively being turned into a bed and breakfast. And so we would become the first cafe in that space. And we thought this would be a safe way to kind of really branch out, get response from response from community, number one, because we're very dedicated to making sure that we only bring businesses into the North End community that the community would like to see. Community buy-in is very important. And just to see how well we do. Like, do people really like our food? Can we see ourselves thriving? And would it be worth expanding or maybe taking a step back at the end of 2022 and rethinking our model, what we're doing and how we want to do it? Now, our long-term goal is to have a food truck courtyard. In 23, we plan to purchase our food truck. We, as well as land for our food truck courtyard. And yeah, and then do a food truck courtyard expansion by 2024, where we will offer other food truck business owners an opportunity to have space there with us. Of course, they would lease that space on the land. Let's see. So you may be wondering, like, why Stuffed Detroit, right? Why would anyone want to shop at Stuffed Detroit and or buy food, purchase food from us? And our main reasons are that we source locally, right? Stuffed is committed to sourcing as many ingredients and supplies as possible from local businesses and organizations. We strive to bring opportunities to independent farmers and small business owners. Why else would someone want to patronize our business? Because there's these other, factors where you're going to get a wholesome meal, right? Our goal is to serve wholesome, homemade, chemical-free beverages and meals. We are community-minded. We welcome all residents of the North End, Detroit, and beyond. Our kitchen and garden space are open to everyone. And we're local first, right? Businesses, organizations, artists, dancers. If you are a local business owner doing something great, Stuff wants to support your work as well. And then of course, it's our service. Like we pride ourselves even on this idea that we want to offer on-the-go food at a higher quality with just a great amount of customer service. Oh, and I may have gone too fast here. And so I'm open for questions now.
Natasha, a quick question about the Academy.
Mm-hmm.
Did the Academy extend funding, or do they have like a loan fund that you can access?
Absolutely. They're really amazing in the fact that for all of their graduates, they offer a zero per interest loans that are only paid out of your profit. Right. And so it's just they're very easy and it's a wonderful process.
I'm sorry, I missed, who did the Academy?
So the Detroit Community Wealth Fund, they are a group, I believe they've been around now for maybe about the last 8 years or so. The Detroit Community Wealth Fund is, how do I describe them? They're like a cooperative incubation group. I believe that they have assisted, what, 80? I believe they have assisted 80 cooperative businesses to get started, as well as, if you count it, individuals, there are over 300 people that they've been able to help. And that help does include technical assistance, again, loans, very low interest loans, and yeah, just support for the entirety of your relationship with them. Did anyone,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask if anyone else had any further questions.
Well, Natasha, I was writing it in the chat, but do you guys have like a 3 to 5 year strategy for growth, for scaling up, or is it your intention to remain small and in a single community?
You know, we have not got that far. We haven't started discussing that part yet. I mean, honestly, you know, it sounds like we're an already established business. We're very brand new. I'm literally going through the Detroit land bank right now, looking for lots of land on our Oakland Avenue corridor, talking with partners that are already doing business and have a relationship with our land bank to see if they would even be willing to purchase the land for us and then let us pay them back. And so right now we're pretty much focused on getting the food truck and opening the food truck courtyard on Oakland Avenue. After that, I'm sure expansion will be on the horizon once we see how well we do.
Okay. And it's
Yeah.
the 5 of you.
Mm-hmm.
And so is it the 5 of you that will be, for instance, working at the bed and breakfast and or the food truck when you get it, or are you going to be staffing? And if you are, do you have you talked about how you're going to do that if you're going to, for instance, seek to do things differently than what happens when hiring through the white lens perspective?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm asking?
I believe so. And so we have not discussed hiring anyone at this point. Right now we are the worker owners.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what because that means I have my own business and I'm the only one except for when I subcontract.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, there may be a project that I can't handle if I'm doing it all by myself, right?
Yeah.
So that's what I was wondering. How were you guys handling that?
Yeah, and so, and it kind of works out really well. Again, Tracy Ricks and Chanel Bias, they are still catering. They run their own catering businesses
Okay.
now. And so they have a large following themselves. And ultimately, it's only the three of us who actually cook food or prepare food. Like I am the salads and beverage person, and they prepare the dishes. And so it kind of works out that way. For instance, what I found really interesting and cool, and this is in regards to just if you have a business idea, just go with it, right? Like don't wait for everything to fall directly into place and everything to be set up perfectly. Sometimes you just have to make your move. And I believe even this pandemic has trained us well on how to operate in silos and bring a bigger project together, right? And so Tracy, she prepared like for instance, I'll use this as an example. One of our catering events, it was for 40 people. And on our menu, we provided chicken and vegan po' boys, salads, vegan chocolate cake, cookies and beverage, right? And we all literally prepared our meals in separate locations. And then once they were all prepared and packaged, we met up together, put our labels on there, and then shipped it out and delivered it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't believe we did this without a commercial kitchen. But it just worked out and it felt so good. Like this is a real possibility.
It's doable.
Yes, once we got that first check, it was awesome, right? Like now I will have to, I will be honest. For instance, the Black Bottom Garden Center, we all graduated together. They are much further along than we are. All five of us, we kind of have other things going on. Like I, for instance, work for North End Christian CDC. I contract with them. I have other contracted work that takes place as well. And so, and then again with them, and they're already running their own business. We haven't pushed our work as much. We haven't marketed ourselves as much since June. But in that time, we did 5 catering events. And so we have net profited about $3,700. And that feels really good. Now, when you think that about splitting it between 5 people, it's like, okay, what are we gonna do? We wanna come out in 2022 with our with our flags blazing here, right? But it still felt really good, really good.
Natasha, there's a question in the chat about have there been any surprises since you planned this co-op?
Not for us, right? I would say not really. And if a surprise means something that's kind of thrown us off, not really, right? We kind of just, everything has been going pretty smoothly, which is eerie because you're like, okay, why is this working out so well? But it's probably well, I'm just saying, right? You expect there to be some hiccup, has to be some sort of hiccup, or it just can't be this easy. Otherwise everyone would do it, right? Yeah.
Natasha, it might be helpful for the audience to understand if the 5 of you knew each other or had relationships before you came together in this business.
Okay, so I am fortunate to know one of my cooperative worker owners, and that would be Tracy Ricks. We had a relationship prior to forming Stuff Detroit, but the premise of the Co-op Academy is that we literally just made a blanket marketing effort throughout the city of Detroit to anyone who was interested in becoming a cooperative worker owner and taking this course. I believe that I may have about 80, maybe 87 applications on record of people who expressed interest. However, only about 27 people showed up. And out of that 27, we did a vote. We asked everyone, what sort of business would you like? What sort of cooperative business would you like to open? And I think we started off with maybe about 20 20 different businesses. And I mean, we narrowed it down to 3, right? And during that process, we built out time and space for each of us to get to know each other, right? Like it was ultimately speed dating for your cooperative business partner. And we tackled some of the hard issues, like, you know, what's your temperament? You know, what's your work style? What do you do? Like, how do we communicate? What's the best way to communicate with this person? And so we actually had an opportunity to see if our personalities would mesh well. And so that's my very long way of saying that I didn't know the 3, Chanel, Darian, and Rashawn. I met them through the Co-op Academy. Yeah.
I think that's quite commendable, that in that short space of time, you came up, you decided on a particular business that you wanted to start together, and that given your skill sets, you kind of gravitated together, and that you were able to form this business. And I mean, already have business during a pandemic, and feel really good about what you've been able to accomplish thus far.
Yes. Yeah, I would agree. It's been an amazing process.
So how are you, because this is an exciting time for you professionally, how is it melding with your personal life? Because I mean, they can take over, the professional can take over, right? So how's it working, the blending?
Right. And you're absolutely right. Work-life balance is absolutely important. And well, because we are only doing catering events at this time, it's not like consistent. We're not in a brick and mortar where we're open 5 days a week and someone needs to be there from 9 to 5 each day, right? It's based upon our time. Like ultimately right now we're working around our schedules. We don't book anything if we have, you know, if we know that we're not going to be able to do it. We are easy on ourselves. We started off telling each other and reminding each other that we're not in a race. It's okay if we're not as far as anyone else. Like we don't want to compare ourselves to anyone else, but to make sure that we are taking the time that's needed and honoring our work-life balance. Again, 5 women, 3 of us are mothers, grandmother as well. And so, yeah, we just make it a point, we make it priority. And so it has not been that hard. Now, what's been hard is the amount of space that that supplies take up in my house. Yeah, that's
So
what's
it
hard.
has kind of crossed the line.
Yeah. From that aspect. But as far as my time goes, no, we meet weekly. We meet with each other weekly and you know, take care of any business that we need to take care of remotely, and we'll get together. We do a lot of work with each other virtually. And so we're just working around our schedules at this point. And so that just hasn't become a problem yet.
Okay.
A comment in the chat that I wanted to make sure, I'm not sure if you've seen it. This sounds like a smart launch. Hats off to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and again, I'm so super excited. I am oh my gosh, I'm going to share my age. I'm 41. But I'm a 41-year-old mother of a 5-year-old, and I didn't personally come from generational wealth. You know, my parents did the best that they could, and I think they did great. However, they were not in a position to set me up, you know, for life financially. And the biggest, I'm going to say almost the number one reason that I really wanted to do this cooperative was for that, to know that I will be able to create financial legacy for my daughter. This is an avenue for that, number one. And number two, I'm not doing it myself. right? It is the benefit of having 5 other people who are equally invested and responsible for this business. So yeah, it's been really great.
So just to follow up on that, Natasha,
Mm-hmm.
the fact that you have co-equal partners in this venture, was that part of the reason why the co-op model was the model of choice as opposed to going out on your own?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I am a sole proprietor, but it's a consulting business. And so, naturally I would do that myself. But when it came time for thinking about opening up an additional stream of income, I didn't want to be delusional, right? It's like, that's just it. You definitely need support when running a business. And so that's what made this the model for us. And coincidentally for each of us, we all kind of came in it for that same reason.
I don't mean to monopolize the conversation, but I have lots of questions. So if anyone else has questions, please feel free to unmute your mic and ask your questions directly. The brick and mortar, the landing, is it currently operating as a bed and breakfast?
No. So the landing is, it is a 2-story home. I believe it's about 2,500 square feet that we've owned. And when I say we, I mean North End Christian CDC, not my cooperative business, but the nonprofit that I am working with. They've owned that building now, I believe, for the last 6 or 7 years. And so pre-COVID, we were actually raising money to turn it into a hostel. But now, naturally people are a little anti-communal spaces. So we had the idea to transform it into the bed and breakfast instead. But yeah, I'm sorry, I believe I may have lost your question. What was the full of your question?
I was just wondering if it was already in business and you indicated it wasn't. So
Okay.
the CDC is going to fund the conversion to the bed and breakfast, and then will the CDC operate it? Or, I mean, that's kind of a out in left field question.
Right. Yes. So the CDC will operate the bed and breakfast. I mean, they have plans to hire a manager for that, except that we would operate the cafe. Right. And so Stuff Detroit would be responsible for that. But yeah, I mean, we've ultimately, so I think I mentioned that I do fund development for the CDC. I'm just actively raising funds for the renovation of this building.
So essentially, 2 disparate organizations cooperating to create success in the community.
Absolutely.
Don't you love it?
Yeah, yes, it's really, it's awesome. Again, because, as my role for the CDC, I help co-facilitate the Cooperative Academy, and was just either smart enough or, just fortunate enough to be in the right place at the right time to also take advantage of that. I mean, there are many times where I'm facilitating learning opportunities for different people. And, I oftentimes feel like, well, because I work here, I shouldn't also take advantage of the opportunity, but I couldn't let this one slide. And they were so excited. They're like, of course, we want you to be a part of it. I'm like, oh, great. So yes. But ultimately just the CDC itself, like that's a part of the CDC's mission. It's to redevelop the North End community, bring food and agricultural business opportunities to this community specifically as well. And so it's just turning into a win-win relationship, and quite a great story for funding opportunities.
So if I may ask another question, I don't know how much time we have.
We're fine. We've got a good 20 minutes.
Okay. I'm a cooperator from way back. And I really think, as do many of fellow cooperators, that it's a great way to help communities of color, cooperative farms, whether urban or rural, cooperative businesses, cooperative incubators. There's just all sorts of way to bring us all together, to harness the energies, the genius of us all to do that work. And I'm wondering, since you did cooperative training to come together to do this, are you guys talking about or thinking about finding ways to encourage cooperative models while you're sort of passively, if you will? So your customers are calling you up or coming in to purchase things, for instance, when the landing opens. Will there be materials on your company, right? But also a mention of the cooperative model and why it's a good one to use, and so forth and so on.
That is actually brilliant. And I think that's a good idea. No, seriously, we haven't thought about that. Like, that hasn't been a part of our vision or, just, I don't need to say vision, but our focus has not been on promoting the cooperative model, although we're a cooperative business, so it makes perfect sense. I think when I'm wearing my CDC hat, that is more relevant than when I'm wearing my Stuff Detroit cooperative owner hat. I'm more focused on like the food business, food industry. Hey, this is why you should shop us. We're local first. We're supporting local food. We're giving you locally grown and sourced foods that are healthy and nutritious. And it's kind of there, as opposed to, thinking about that lane of, okay, we should also be promoting this, this model. Now, I will say this much though, the Detroit Community Wealth Fund, that's their main focus. And so they are always gathering all of us together to speak to people, tell people about our experience, to promote why co-ops are a great option. And, but that's more their lane. But,
well, being who I am and how I am, and I suspect just having said those words, Deb knows what's coming. Allow me to suggest that you guys do look at it and think about it, because just as when Detroit pulls you guys together to have those conversations, that ripple effect is stronger if you guys then, in materials that you would be printing up anyway to make sure that people know about your business, there's a little blurb there that talks about the cooperative model and how beneficial it was to you and could be to others.
Yes,
Can you hear the consultant / coach in me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. As I said, that's brilliant. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you.
I would be willing to bet that you could call on Patrice for some help or some thoughts about what that might look like.
Yes, I would love that opportunity. We can speak.
Please feel welcome to contact me anytime.
Great. And Deb,
actually, I guess it would help if I put my contact information in the chat. But yeah. Deb also has all of my contact information if you ever need to reach me and you lose information or something.
Yeah, that's what I was asking, if Deb, you will make sure that I get her contact information.
Absolutely, be happy to make that connection.
Great.
Oops. Are there other questions? I mean, Stuff Detroit is new, and in talking to Natasha before this presentation, one of the things that really struck me was that as they were planning this business, knowing that we were in the throes of a pandemic, they calibrated their business planning to accommodate that. So rather than initially saying, hey, we're going to do this bricks and mortar, and oh my gosh, we're in the middle of a pandemic, so are we going to get people coming in the door? They took all of that into account. And so rather than putting themselves in a position where they would be burdened with a lot of debt, they looked at the environment, knew what they wanted to accomplish, and just adjusted that timeline so that that gets pushed out into the future. Not that it goes away, but that it is set in such a way that it accommodates what's happening in the environment. And that, hats off to you guys for doing that, that planning, and that, you know, yes, we want to do that. We're so excited, but, you know, we're realistic here in looking at what's happening around us so that we don't get ourselves into a situation where we can't accomplish what we set out to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say that it was designed, the program itself, the academy was designed that way, with having 3 hours of designated time with your group every week for 15 weeks. It was great. They had an outline for us to think about those sorts of things, right? And so I really feel like we were just kind of set up to win, right? And that was really important. I mean, there's a lot to know and to think about when planning your cooperative, especially around governance, things that we just hadn't even considered, right? Like, do you pay dues? Do we have members, right? I mean, what's our structure? What's our power structure look like, right? How do you divide power equally between 5 people? But they really encouraged us to sit down and think about those things, and not just, you know, the outside forecast, but yeah, our inner workings. And yeah, it was just really great. Yeah, that sort of support really helped. Yeah.
Other questions for Natasha?
This just sounds so exciting and something that can really, whether it's you guys, the 5 of you, or someone who comes and is inspired by what you're doing. I mean, you know, food, whether it's the growing of it, the selling of it, the sharing of it, you know, we're all involved in food in different ways. And so to use that to grow and nourish community is just fabulous.
Yes, absolutely. And I guess so one of the things is that we do kind of piggyback off of the vision here at Oakland Avenue Urban Farm, which is food sovereignty, right? Food sovereignty and access to highly nutritious, locally grown foods. I don't think that we would have started our cafe. It wouldn't have started without that thought process in mind first, right? Like, why do we even want to do this? Well, because we also believe in food sovereignty, and we believe in access to high quality, very nutritiously dense foods, right? And I don't know too many places where you can get prepared food that is also very nutritious and delicious, right? It may not be quite delicious, but you know, it's not nutritious, definitely. And so that was a part of, just wanting to bring that sort of empowerment to these sorts of spaces.
Just wonderful. Yeah.
One last quick question, and then I think we'll wrap up. You had said earlier that right now you really haven't thought ahead to growing the size of the business as far as number of member owners. So I'm gonna just take a wild guess here and think that as you start planning that next phase of the business, which is the cafe to the bed and breakfast, that might potentially be something that you would discuss. And is that built into your bylaws as far as membership, kind of what, as you were working through putting your business plan and your bylaws together with the academy, was that something that came up, or is that still to come as you plan that next phase?
So we do have, what do I want to say? There is information in our bylaws about what membership will look like. However, I guess I can only say that we aren't that focused on it yet, right? We're not ready to ask anyone else to come join what we're doing until we are fully established ourselves, right? And that's really more along the lines of when we have our food truck courtyard. Yeah, that's our ultimate goal.
Well, Natasha, thank you so much for being with us today and sharing your story about Stuff Detroit. I wish I was closer so I could order food from you. It's a little bit of a distance between here and Indianapolis, but I'm excited to hear your story. Best of luck. And everyone who was on the call, thanks for being with us. Don't forget to join us again on the 9th and hear from Black Bottom Garden Center, which Natasha has mentioned in her presentation. So again, thank you all very much. Have a great day, and look forward to hearing more about Stuff Detroit as you grow your business.
Thank you so much. And thank you all for having me.
Thank
Bye-bye,
you.
everyone.
Great job.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, Deb,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
are we gonna get everything?
Yes.
Okay, because I really